only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined as always by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner,
and our from entertainer,
Wayne Baker,
and a whole boatload of other people at this point too. We are on location, and I'm very excited to be here for many, many, many reasons.
Number one being beer.
Number one being beer. Number 1.5 being what makes the beer.
Yay.
Yeah. We are on location. We're at Deer Creek Malthouse, and you may recognize that name because we have a video on beerbusterspodcast.com from a little while ago featuring Deer Creek Malthouse. And in the area, there's a lot of breweries starting to use their products for their own beers, keeping it all local, which I love. But we'll get into that in a little bit, but of course we have to get to know everybody that's here. So if you gentlemen wouldn't mind introducing yourselves.
Josh Oliver.
Josh Fryoff.
Scott Welsh. And Mark Brault.
Cool. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for inviting us out here.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's
happy to have you.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited.
And
You've told us there's...
You can see all their smiling faces in that video you mentioned.
Yes.
So if you need to put faces to the voices, go watch the video. And if you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We could use some more subscribers.
Definitely do that. While you're at it, subscribe on iTunes to the podcast, too, because, yeah, reasons.
Wow, we just started.
What?
We're on the plugs already. Got to get it in there.
Well, of course, yeah.
And go to deercreekmalt.com.
There you go.
Hashtag
for
Bantlers.
all the latest news.
We're also on
Bantlers.
the social medias.
The social medias. And
Or the Soch.
The social.
And if you
Are
don't
you
know what
social?
bantlers are, you can hear Josh describe that to you in that video we've been talking about.
It's very comprehensive.
Hey, Wayne, where's that
description
video?
That video is at beerbusterspodcast.com or on youtube.com
User
slash Beerbusters Podcast, which will be a better URL if we get more people to subscribe to the channel. So
So
to our
subscribe
YouTube
now to make it
channel.
easier to find our stuff later on, or when you have to tell people to where to find it. We're going on.
Let's
and on.
let's go on
I have
to
a
the
week
news.
to
I
edit
think there's
this
a
damn
link
thing.
on our
Let's
website,
start
too.
this.
There's a link on deercreekmalt.com.
Hey, there we go.
That's right.
Well, because I have a week to edit this, I'm gonna just hit this button now. So there's a little bit of stuff that happened. Yeah. Two of these stories, I've got three stories, sort of. Two are sports related. I know Wayne's gonna be thrilled about that. But the first of which I thought was kind of cool. Out in San Francisco, somewhere I've never been, but Steph has been several times and smiling ear to ear right now, mentioning it.
I could live there.
Jealous. Anchor Brewing has once again broadened its partnership with the San Francisco Giants, and they now have a limited edition collaboration brew, the Orange Splash Lager. So the beer is paying homage to the AT&T Park's notorious splash hits, which are home runs that land on the fly into McCovey Cove, which is located behind the right field wall. It blends pale two-row caramel and Patagonia malts with Apollo, Bravo, and experimental hops. Back to hops we don't know what they are.
Nice.
Yeah. For a, quote, refreshing citrus-forward beverage, said the company. Now, the beer is available through October, so if you're in the San Francisco area, you have to, or if you get to the San Francisco area, you have to do this soon. It's currently available on draft at the Anchor Brewing Beer Garden at the Yard, which is located right next to AT&T Park.
Just opened not that long ago.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it from there. I just thought it was really cool to see another collaboration like that. I think there should be a lot more that do that. I like when baseball embraces good beer and good beer embraces baseball. It's a perfect relationship.
And Anchor has a bar at AT&T Park,
Yes.
which is really cool.
Yeah. So I wanted to give that a quick mention. The other is a little more local to us, and one will be even more local to us. So out in the western part of the state, we all know people who go to Penn State are crazy about their football. The sales of the beer with Joe Paterno's name on it are so brisk that the company that makes it, which is Duquesne Brewing, they're gearing up for a second run after just a week on the shelves.
Wow.
They have sold close to 1 million cans already, according to Mark Dudash, who owns Duquesne, and they're just trying to keep up with the demand. So when word of the plans made it to mainstream for the Joe Paterno beer, some had the move to associate the former Penn State football coach with alcohol. Now, according to them, in the beginning there was some reluctance, according to Dudash. Wholesalers didn't want to overbuy and then have a fire sale, basically, to get rid of everything they had left. But he said after the initial wave of criticism, the European lager thrived and blew past the initial projections. One distributor would order one pallet, and the next day 4 pallets, and then next day half of a truckload, said Dudash. We hoped that by the 5th Penn State game to have sold 500 barrels worth, but they are up to 3,000 barrels already.
What kind of beer is this? Isn't
A
it a
European
lager?
lager.
European lager, yes.
Which
And,
is sort of vague, European
yeah,
lager.
I know. There's different
People
styles
are-
there could be.
So people are just buying it because Paterno's face is on the
sure.
can.
More than likely. I mean, the cans look really cool. There's a picture on the article here that I'll see if, Wayne, if we can throw up on the website as long as I remember
If you
to.
email me, it will happen.
I'm just going to put your name right there next to the picture. But it's really cool. It's Paterno. It's like a headshot and then like a profile headshot, which is cool. And it has his stats on the back. The all-time winningest coach with 409 wins, 24 bowl victories, 79 All-Americans, and 49 academic All-Americans. But I thought that was kind of cool, little homage to the man. And now the super local one, which I'm very excited about because that means big things are on the horizon. Our friends at Evil Genius, who, by the time you hear this podcast, will have celebrated their 4th birthday party,
Yay.
which
Wow,
is awesome.
4 years
I
already.
know.
When we first met them,
They
wasn't
were at
they
2.
2 years.
Yeah, they were at 2, and they're on 4 now. They're growing
Which
and growing
is
and growing.
2 more than 2.
Yes, that is 2 more than 2. Yes, well, there's a lot of rumors around if they're going to open a place, where they're going to open a place, and when it's going to be and everything. They have officially brought on their head brewer, John. I'm probably going to get his name wrong, which is why we have to have him on the show. Defabaugh? That sounds about right. John should be relatively familiar to those who know the local brewing scene. He spent close to a decade working for 2 exceptional local breweries, Earth Bread and Brewery, and more recently, Tired Hands. And now he's joining Evil Genius. He's been working with Evil Genius on a consulting basis for the past few months, but now he's on board full-time and helping taking the brewery to the next level, which means there's probably some big news coming down the road. So we have
I
to
can't
confirm
wait.
that with our sources, of course, being
Yes.
Trevor and Luke themselves.
Yeah, sources, by the way, you have to announce this news on Beer Busters podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, you can call in. That's fine. We'll accept that.
Yeah, I'll take a phone interview, but
we have to break the news.
I'm pretty sure somewhere I've got it recorded that they said we would do this.
Multiple
on,
times they've said that.
on one
They've
of
promised.
my hard drives. But it's there somewhere. It's
And
been recorded.
Honey,
There's proof.
Here Comes Honey Beer is coming out soon.
Yes, they're premiering it. They have premiered it at their birthday party. I'm not gonna comment on it, but I'll have it when it's there.
Oh, that's right.
'cause
You're
this is-
going.
I'm going. Well, I have to run after work. It's 2 blocks away from work, and I get out of work
And
at
you will
9.
write an awesome article and let us all feel like we were there with you.
You know, the best part is this has to be cut out because we're already messing up timelines.
Will and
So?
have
Will and have been.
will and
Will
will
and
and have been.
I think our listeners are used to that.
Yeah. Why not? We'll leave it in. Why the hell not? The less editing I have to do, the better. But that's very exciting. Keep an eye and an ear out for that. And yes, sources, you have to break the news with us because you told us many times you would, and we love you. But now we have to get to what's at hand, where we are right now. And there's a nice cold air coming in from the next room, which makes it awesome. And there's a lot of oats on the floor, which at first glance I didn't realize were oats. I thought that was just like a floor mat. And then I realized, no, let's not go step on that.
It's alive.
You would, by the way, understand this whole process if you watched the Beer Busters video on Deer Creek Mall.
Why are you looking at me? I've seen it.
Okay, I was going to say, please tell me you
No,
watched it.
I've seen it. I just at first glance I was like, oh, that's a very thick floor mat, and it's not a floor mat at all. It's oats.
There's several shovels over there, and if you go in there, you'll discover very quickly it's not a floor mat.
yeah, exactly. But guys, we want to thank you for having us out here. I'm excited to be here, and I know there's a lot of drunkenness ahead of us. What's the total of beers that we're at for tonight?
I think we're at 10.
10-ish?
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wicked man.
Ish.
A wicked many. Yeah.
But there's
wicked
snacks, too.
Snacks.
And Rich has iced tea, so it's all good.
Oh,
And we have some
They-
water.
yes.
So that's
And there's
good,
water.
They are the best guests ever because they bought iced tea for our DD.
oh, that's awesome. On behalf of Rich, thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
But it's awesome. So for anybody who hasn't seen the video, 1, do it. 2, listen to this, and I mean you already are.
You are listening to this. If you're hearing
Keep
this, you are
listening to
listening to this.
But there's a lot of cool stuff that goes into the process, and I like the logo that's even on the glasses. You have it on the shirt. You have the bantlers. But what prompted wanting to open up Deer Creek Malt House? What led you to that?
Well, we're all kind of beer geeks and home brewers, and we all just kind of had an idea together kind of at the same time. And we looked at the local craft beer scene, and we were really surprised that there wasn't any raw material supply that was local. It seems like there's 2 breweries in every town now, and They all use local meats and cheeses and produce and a lot of things in the kitchen, and then they get malt from Europe or Canada or somewhere else, and simply because there isn't an option. And we decided to kind of put a stake in the ground and say we're gonna make this thing work, and we're gonna use local ingredients and do some floor malting and do some craft malting and supply malt to everybody.
Yeah, and we're passionate about beer. We're home brewers, and wanted to see what we could do to improve the local beer scene. So.
Now, I know when we were here, when we did this infamous video that we won't shut up about.
It's a nice video.
I know you guys talked about some of the local breweries that had been using or were interested in using your malts, and I know that since then, in just the few short months since we were here last, you guys have really spread out there, and a lot of breweries have been using your product, and I see it all over the place, which is really nice. So you've had a pretty positive reception in the local brewery scene.
For sure. I mean, we've got two handfuls now, I'd say, of customers, and we're very happy. People seem to love the malt. They're making great beer with it. We're going to sample quite a big handful of them today. We've got, I don't know, I've got a list here of maybe 35.
I'd call that two handfuls.
Five each, 10 thumble fills. But yeah, I mean, we're working with a lot of local brewers. People seem to be happy with it. They're making great beer, and we couldn't be happier, I think, with the reception that we've had.
Yeah, the support's really been tremendous. There's been a lot of really positive feedback, and people understand where we're at, what we're trying to do, and where we're trying to get to. And just the support's been awesome from the community.
I know that, like, I've gone to several breweries and beer bars and just various beer events, and I see Deer Creek malts. Little just here and there. The little I see the Bantlers, and I see people talking about it. Or this beer was made with Deer Creek malts. It's really awesome to see. I don't know what Bantlers are, but
I don't either.
I don't think you do either. But
we're in a pretty awesome city, so there's a lot of amazing brewers around here, and we're just trying to get malt into their hands and let them do the rest. That's all we can do.
There's a great brewing culture in Pennsylvania and in the Delaware Valley, and just a ton of really good brewers. So I think we're in a great place. Yeah.
And you
not easy to grow.
Yeah.
The right
As we
barley,
learned.
but yeah. But aside from that,
Your facility is not open to the public, but not too long ago, at the beginning of the summer, you guys hosted an open house where the public could actually come here. How did that go?
It was awesome. That was our first kind of public event. It was part of Philly Beer Week that first weekend, and I think we're probably going to do it again.
Yeah.
So the first Saturday of Philly Beer Week. So we sold tickets basically just to cover the cost of the beer. It's kind of tricky. We're in a dry township, so we had to be very careful about how we presented things. But basically, you bought a ticket and you got a tour. We had a hayride that would pick people up from the parking kind of picnic area and go out to where we had our barley trial plots. And we had the agronomy professor from Penn State out explaining about, and Scott explaining about the trial plots and what we were doing. And we had a beer on tap out there. And then the hayride would take you up to the malt house and do a tour there with Mark and Josh. And we had another beer on tap there. And then back at the picnic area, we had kind of a family fun area. We had a food truck and 4 beers on tap. So we had 5 actually different breweries pouring beer made with our malt. We had about 85 people. We had a beautiful day. Everybody had a good time. It was awesome. Yeah, we had a great time.
It was great. Victory was here, Trogs was here, Vault was here, Free Will, and Lancaster, all pouring beers made with our malt. And they were awesome beers. Really awesome.
That's really cool. I like that you were open to presenting that to people then too. We all, obviously we all love beer, and you come across the casual beer drinker, they of course like beer, but they have no idea what goes into it. So to have people see that, I think kind of helps them understand the whole process of it for a better appreciation of, you have to grow that, you have to go pick your hops, you have to then it gets them kind of more interested in the brewing process overall, and I really like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of education. I think a lot of community people who live nearby wanted to kind of check out what we were doing. And a lot of people, even my friends and family think that I have a brewery. It's just hard for them to understand. I'm in the beer industry, but it's not a brewery. We're making the malt. So it was good for people to see the process and see the barley growing in the field and see the facility where we process it into malt and then finally all the way through to tasting the beer. It was just an awesome event. Yeah, we had a great time.
And family friendly too, so not a lot of events during Philly Beer Week that you can bring your kids and on the weekends, and really a great turnout and a lot of positive comments from people who had kids that, hey, it was awesome, I could come and hang out and bring my kids and still do something with beer. So
we had a bouncy house, a playground. It was it was very very family oriented. Yeah,
I want to go to a bouncy house.
You still have it, right? You'll get it up later.
So the first Saturday of Philly Beer Week, you can come.
I don't want to wait till
You
then.
can get in the bouncy house.
Now, you had mentioned you guys are. This is a dry township. I have to admit, I didn't realize that existed anymore.
It
especially
does.
in this area.
Yep, it does.
Wow. That's just.
I'm not sure what to say about that.
It does.
It caught me by surprise. I
It's
had
difficult
no
to
idea.
change as well.
Well, I mean, knowing this state, but that's a different topic for a different day.
The township, I will say, has been incredibly supportive. I mean, the entire community. What we've been trying to do, bringing back the farm and the barn and doing something a little more modern and different that's still agricultural at heart. And I mean, we're zoned agricultural. We've got a agricultural business, and they've been really, really helpful getting us to the point where we're at, able to renovate the barn, our licenses, inspections, things like that. And it's been great.
Wow. So who was the first brewery that signed on and said, yes, we'll use your stuff?
Free Will was the first brewer
Okay.
to make a beer with our malt. They made a milk stout, which they should be making again in the next month or two. And they've been a great partner for us. Unfortunately, they didn't have anything on tap that we could sample right now, but we've got a really good relationship with them, and John and Dom have really supported us. And they're doing great things up there. I mean, they've got a really nice sour program. Their clean beers are amazing. I know Steph likes the COB a lot.
Oh, COB's fantastic.
Well, no, I was just there for Sour Sunday last weekend. Oh. And
It's a
John,
great place.
every time we're there, it's different. They move stuff around. They keep adding
that's
stuff.
like you walk in and there's like all this new equipment. Like I was just here like 3 weeks ago and none of this was here.
So John took me downstairs, and just the amount of barrels they've accumulated, it's crazy.
And the fooders, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
But the Leuven in the red wine barrels right now with the blueberries, I can't wait for that.
Oh, that
Okay.
sounds
I
so
can't
Yeah,
wait.
I thought you were going to say you got to try it.
No,
and
not yet.
okay.
It's not ready yet. But
Yeah.
and they have some amazing bottle releases coming up, and
So you might want to put on your radar. We went over there one day and brewed with them, and they made a saison that they're going to age on plums.
He was telling me about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so half is on red plums, half is on white plums, and it should be delicious. It's with with some special yeast from Belgium. And
It will be
It's going to be
delicious.
amazing. Yeah. All local malt too, by the way.
So I know Dan has mentioned earlier about like casual beer drinkers, and I think even more of the beer geeky types don't necessarily. I mean, if you're not a home brewer or if you're not a brewer, you don't work at a brewery, you don't necessarily really. Everybody thinks about the hops. Everything's about the hops. Hops are cool. Hops are hip. And I don't think a lot of people think about the malt and where that comes from. And Scott, I know you've been pretty quiet so far, but I know you're more tuned into the agricultural side of things. So what are like the challenges or advantages of growing malting barley in Pennsylvania in this region?
Sure. Well, as far as the advantages, I mean, the main objective is to have a local product that comes from local ingredients. So we're making the malt locally. We want to use local raw agricultural ingredients as much as we can. So we'd like to source barley and other small grains from growers that we have connections with that'll grow for us. The challenge is that basically for the last 100 years or so, the malting industry has not been in the eastern U.S. So the varieties that have been developed either in Europe for some of their climates or in the western U.S. and Canada. Initially, just because of trade issues, it's been more challenging to get varieties from Europe. So the varieties we had access to were Western U.S. Canadian varieties, and they're developed under very different climates. It's much drier climate. They tend to grow spring barleys because they have very severe winters. So they plant the barley in the spring, harvest in the late summer. That doesn't work as well agriculturally for our farmers. We have a milder climate, so we can get. If you have varieties that are developed to be winter barleys, you can get varieties that you can plant in the fall. They'll survive the winter, and then you can harvest them earlier in the summer, and the farmers can plant a second crop after the barley is harvested. So it works a lot better for them. But the varieties, there are a few varieties coming out of Oregon and Idaho, but they just haven't. They've been developed for dry climates, so they don't adapt well to our climate. So we've been had a tough year this year in terms of barley sourcing. We had a very hard winter, second hard winter in a row, which even winter barley tends to be more sensitive to winter injury than other grains like rye and wheat. So we had some fields that got killed over the winter, and then we had probably close to record rainfall in June, which is the time period that you're harvesting barley. And to do the malting process, you have to have grain that'll sprout. It'll germinate. That's essentially what the malting process is. And if you have grain that dries down in the field, is just about ready to be harvested, and you get a lot of rain on it, it'll actually start that sprouting process in the field. And once it's started to sprout and then gets dried back out, it'll kill the grain, and then it no longer will sprout, and you can't malt it. Plus, you can get off colors, tend to get gray or duller malt. If you get a lot of rainfall, it just kind of darkens the grain, so you don't get as nice color. It can affect the wort color. You can get a little bit of mustiness and that kind of stuff. Just like anything that sits wet long enough, it'll tend to get mildewy. So that was a real challenge this year. We were able to reach out kind of our farm network and identify some good barley for this year, but it took a lot of work to find that. But so we're working with a couple folks in the UK on some kind of looking at some heritage barley varieties to see what they have from over there. We're actually going to be growing some commercial barley varieties from Germany and France this year on a larger scale for malting next year. They tend to have more humid climates in Europe than the Western U.S., so they've developed varieties that can handle a climate a little more similar to ours. So we're doing a lot of work to try to bring the industry back, and a lot of that's the supply chain, figuring out what are the right barleys and how do we grow them to get good quality malt.
Do you imagine like sort of a long-term goal of developing varieties sort of geared towards, the East Coast, the Northeast, where we're at? Like obviously it's not something you're just going to turn around and do tomorrow, but is that kind of like a direction you want to head, where you want to start trying to cultivate things made for this?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that's a long-term goal. Some of the universities in the East are starting to look at it. Cornell has been doing a little bit. Virginia Tech, Penn State's been doing more and more in terms of trials. They're not doing any breeding currently, but Virginia Tech is doing some breeding of malt barleys for the eastern U.S. But plant breeding is a long-term career. You talk to people, and they're excited about something that's going to hit the market 10 or 15 years from now. So it takes time. But so in the near term, it's more about kind of looking at what's already out there in other parts of the world and finding what's best adapted here. But certainly long term, I mean, we'd love to have a Deer Creek landrace barley that we can make kind of a branded malt around on a particular taste profile for barley. And we're in the very early stages of kind of exploring some things that could lead to that years down the road.
So this is where it all began. If you're listening to this now, if 10 years from now you're listening to this podcast.
And just in general, I mean, the farming side of our business and some of the things that Scott are doing, if you watch the podcast that you guys did, I mean, it all goes back to the farm. You can't make good beer with bad barley, and I mean, it's really where it starts. So huge emphasis for us, and it invested a lot of time and resources to be able to support our business and allow brewers to be able to use local malt, because it wouldn't happen without that farming emphasis, for sure.
Right, yeah.
And those changes that Scott mentioned, I mean, we're going to be planting different varieties this year. I mean, that's a result of several years of research on our part. I mean, we've been farming for 4 years now, and I think you can't just on a whim change varieties. I mean, I think we finally have enough data now statistically that we feel comfortable changing varieties and doing something different next year, which should help us, I think, in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. We had some 70 some odd entries in our trials this past year. I mean, we've been working hard.
Wow, yeah.
And that's not the only thing you guys are growing.
No, and I was just going to say one of the other neat things is looking at there are crops that can be malted that do grow well in this area and have been grown. One example would be there's a 6-row barley variety that was developed and bred as a feed barley for cattle feed, but one of the parent lines in the kind of the heritage or genealogy of that variety that was developed by Virginia Tech was a French malting barley, and people kind of discovered over the years it actually makes very high quality 6-row malt. So that's actually one of the major varieties we're using this year. Because it's adapted. This area grows well here, but it gives kind of an interesting take on a different variety that wasn't specifically developed for malt, but still makes a high quality malt. And we're looking at was mentioned earlier, we've got oats on the floor currently.
Yeah.
We're
Not a
malting
format.
oats. This is our.
No,
this
it's not
is
a format.
That's right. It's our first batch of oat malt, but that was grown here in Chester County. We've done wheat. We just got some wheat in yesterday from a farmer just a couple miles down the road. Hard wheat variety that we've malted a couple times. We're going to be doing some more of. Done some spelt and rye, and last year we grew some sorghum on the farm here. It's a lot different from the other small grains in terms of how it grows, but it's still a maltable grain. Gives low gluten or potentially gluten-free malt.
Yeah, I was going to
depending
ask
on
about
strain.
that. I've done an article and a few things about gluten-free stuff before. I had some friends and some people I knew that were celiac, and the sorghum, I saw that, and I thought it was really cool that you're growing that locally, and I'm hoping people will pick up on that and try to do a gluten-reduced or gluten-free beer to kind of spread the culture of that, because you can do a lot of good stuff with it. In the experience I've had with the ones that use sorghum, they taste noticeably different from beers that will use some of the enzymes to take out the chill haze and take out the gluten afterwards. But if you do it right, that sorghum can blend in really well. And I really like that that's now local.
Yeah, I think the majority of sorghum beers that people have had are made from sorghum syrup or unmalted sorghum.
Right.
We found that the malting process really improved the flavor, made it a lot more neutral. And we've made a couple beers with sorghum, and we've had a couple home brewers, and some commercial brewers are going to start up with it. And I think you get a lot better flavor with the malting process. I think, I don't know, some things metabolize, I think, in there and change the flavor profile.
That's awesome.
Of it.
I'm excited to try that if somebody picks up on that. That's great.
Between the sorghum and the oats, I think people have two tools there to make gluten-free or at least reduced gluten beers. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome.
That'd be cool. Yeah, and it'd be cool to have a locally sourced.
Yeah.
I mean,
It can then
usually
be-
when you're doing gluten-free, you have to go but something that's pretty much mass-produced.
Right,
because
right.
So it's such a specialty product. But to be able to have that local source available, that's pretty awesome.
I like that.
And
Kudos
did
to
I
you
see
guys.
something about a double Dutch?
It's not actually a
you bring your
grain
jump rope?
that you grow in the field.
No, because your Dutch malt was my favorite. Last time we were here, and I was like, double Dutch?
Yeah, well, we got really, really positive response from the Dutch, which is
As you should.
classified as a mini Munich style,
Right.
around 10 SRM, and we just kind of wanted to see if we could push the boundaries of what our equipment could do and make something that kind of targeted the dark or aromatic Munich category, and it came out pretty well. So we made a double Dutch.
It's twice as much Dutch.
Yeah, double the flavor, double the fun, double the color.
Double the Dutch.
Yeah, double the Dutch. Yeah.
I love
So
it.
that's a new product that we've been offering recently too. So yeah.
So we've got plans to get lederhosen and some jump rope.
I should have worn my
And do a
dirndl.
nice film
Steph
shoot.
has lederhosen.
No, Rich has the later
you have a dirndl?
I
She's
have,
got
I
a
have three
dirndl.
dirndls.
I didn't know you had three.
I have three.
Really?
I have a black one, I have a pink and brown one, and then I have my shiny blue one. And we're going. Oktoberfest season has begun. I'm
This
just
is
saying.
true,
It
yeah.
is dirndl season. I cannot wait. That's the best part of September. Is going
So if you
to
guys want to do
Oktoberfest.
another video and include us being silly,
I will
with
wear
jump
my
rope,
dirndl next time.
That's
Yeah, we
pretty
should
good.
definitely do that.
We'll do the malt fit video.
I feel like I
we'll
need
do
the
some double
braids,
Dutch.
too.
We'll do yeah.
Steep tank diving,
I feel like we need the bouncy house too.
of course.
Yes. Yes. Return to the bouncy house. I love it.
So speaking of things you also grow, as you drive up the driveway here,
I noticed.
you have hops
that.
out there too.
Is that what those are?
Now, not your main business, but this is just a side project. How did that go this year? This was your second year growing hops, correct?
Yeah, second year, something we decided to do for fun, sort of on a whim.
We have this land. Let's just put hops there.
With at least 500 rhizomes. Yeah.
It was either that or a bouncy house.
It was primarily Josh's idea. He's like, I think we need about half-acre hops. so he ordered 400 rhizomes, and then he kind of said, "All right, my job's done." So
Completely
you guys
blew
take
my
it from here.
reputation out. Yeah, I have no credibility now within the business because this has been quite labor-intensive project. So
yeah.
we just decided, we should have hops. Like, we've got
It makes
malt.
sense.
We should have hops, and I kind of convinced these guys, it'll be so easy. We'll just buy a bunch of rhizomes.
Wait, you never had hops in your backyard?
I did.
Yes, that's the problem.
Seriously?
He had one,
I have
not 100.
I have 4 vines this year,
Right.
and I couldn't keep up with it.
So
it's
as
so
you
much work.
as you expand the amount of vines you have, it's exponentially more difficult in terms of labor. I mean, it's been a nightmare, to be honest. But we have close to 500 rhizomes. We put up a proper trellis this year. That was our major time sink into the project, and then we kind of just let them go. I mean, there's a lot of weeds out there. We had a couple brewers come and pick some hops, and but for a second year, the harvest wasn't
Help
great.
yourself.
And,
There's
next
a
year-
bucket if you want to put a few dollars in.
Pretty much. Just come pick your own hops, take them, wet hops and beers. We picked some that we dried down. We got a little oast, and we actually have a beer that we're gonna drink tonight that we made with some of the hops that we grew here. So
Nice.
Cool.
yeah.
And we have another beer here by Levante that was made with our malt and our hops.
I saw that on the list. I was really excited for
Glen
it.
Mills, what's it called? Glen Mills
Estate. Oh, Glen Mills Mild.
Glen
Yeah.
Mills Mild. that's
Yeah,
what it is,
Wayne and I were at the grand opening, and they had the bantlers on the side of on the side of the bar.
Spotted
and,
the bantlers.
and we were asking about the beer, and he's like, "Yeah, it's not on tap right now." And I was like, "Oh darn, we got to come back." But I mean, we'll still go back. But I'm excited we get to have it tonight.
But now we get to have it here. It's
Yeah.
like you said, it'll be ready in about 2 weeks. And that's gonna be awesome.
And you guys have a collaboration with Second Story coming up because CBC is going to be in Philly next year. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Second Story, another huge supporter of ours. They made a beer, the PA Lager, which we'll taste tonight. But they're also going to help us out and a lot of other maltsters across the country and making a collaboration beer for the Craft Brewers Conference next April, which is going to be in Philly. So we wanted to do something kind of cool and big and collaborative, given it was in Philly and incorporating other maltsters across the country. And we've got I think 8 maltsters right now that are contributing malt, all craft, small scale, artisanal products. Hoping to get a few more to contribute a small amount of malt. And Second Story is going to make a barley wine. And
nice.
nice style for collaboration, a lot of different types of malts. So they're hopefully, we're still kind of working out the details, but I'm sure John's going to do something really cool and probably split it in a few different conditions, and we'll have like a couple different flavors of beer with the same grain bill, which would be really neat.
Barrels and
Wow.
should be really good. Yeah,
John
I'm
is such a
looking
great
forward
brewer. He's
Yep.
he'll be up for the challenge and create goodness out of that.
to it. I'm sure.
He
And then
puts
also-
things
he's
in barrels and it just turns into magic. And he makes a good, solid German lager. I respect any brewer that can make a really good
Yeah.
German lager.
Yeah.
Because at
John-
the end of the day, what do you really want but a German lager?
John's great at like a lot of styles, and he really excels in the lagers.
Yeah.
And the lager he made with our malt is really
Yeah,
nice. You'll taste it
it's
later.
top-notch.
Speaking of
really
which,
good.
27 minutes ago, John Weibel tweeted at Beer Busters and Deer Creek Malt, "I think there is a delicious lager there."
We will have to tweet when we're drinking it.
That is
Sponsored by Second Story.
Beer Busters.
also John Gillespie. If you're listening, you still owe me a growler.
Yes.
So another event coming up, Mark, that you had mentioned this October.
Yeah. So the Brewers of Pennsylvania, which we're an associate member of, is having an event, the Arts Quest Oktoberfest on October 9th. And
So you're wearing your lederhosen.
I will probably. I'm going to wear your lederhosen, I guess.
Oh, there you go.
No, the boys wear the lederhosen. The girls wear the turtles.
No idea how this works.
I need education clearly before I go talk at this event. So we're in trouble. But we're gonna go and do a panel discussion on local malt, which should be really cool. So
awesome.
Scott Smith from East End, John Trogner, and Greg Roth, who is the agronomist who is here for our field day, and myself, we're going to do a small panel presentation, we're calling it. We'll probably do a little slide presentation and then kind of just do a Q&A with all the brewers and people that come to attend the event and just talk about local malt, create some awareness, and just have a cool little local malt event.
That's cool. Well,
Yes.
I'm a little thirsty.
I'm
Although I do
thirsty.
want to say,
Oh.
before we get to the beer, other Josh hasn't said much. Hi.
Yeah.
We're
We need
now
a
entering
question.
the beer portion.
This,
which-
Yeah.
this is where he's going to start talking, right?
Yeah. He's been holding back.
Save myself for the tasting.
Okay. Well, you're in luck because here we go.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Cool. So we're starting off with the Tired Hands Tough Leather, which clocks in I didn't mean to steal your thunder because I know you were supposed to intro the beers.
No,
Josh,
it's fine.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But clocks in at a truly sessionable 1.5% ABV.
Sweet. It's almost like kombucha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a really light table beer, saison style. I mean, in the nose, you immediately get some melon and some tangerine, some slight kind of citrusy. It's very, very light in body, but it's not underflavored at all. Nice dry finish.
Ooh, yeah.
Really
Yeah.
brings out the hops.
Yeah, pale ale and wheat malt from Deer Creek.
That was going to be my question.
Deer Creek Malt House.
.com.
We're only on the first beer, and it's a 1.5%.
It's a good place to start. Ease into the tasting.
Yes.
It's nice and citrusy. It's almost shandy-like because
Little.
of how light and refreshing it is,
Right.
but it has that punch in there of.
It is shandy-like, and I don't like shandies, but I think
But this
it's
I
is
like.
good because it has that punch.
Well, I think
You know,
the carbonation, the effervescence of it,
Yeah.
kind of really heightens the hop profile, and the fact that it's light bodied, it gives it a nice dry palate, so it really makes it quite refreshing.
Well, and it's the difference between getting your citrus flavors from fruit and getting your citrus flavors and aromas from hops. And I think that bitter punch makes it something. This is like a beer drinker shandy, I guess. Right? I mean, and
No, I
it's-
was laughing at the face you made when you said that because you were like confused at your own words.
it's good though. To me, this is like the perfect lawnmower beer.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about crushable. I mean,
Crush-alicious.
Crush-alicious? Crushtastic.
Yeah, I want to say it's Crystal and Mosaic. I forget the hops they use, but
Certainly Mosaic.
Cascade
I'm
and
not sure about
Mosaic.
the other.
Cascade Mosaic.
It's a really
Cascade
nice beer.
Mosaic.
It's light. It's got a lot of flavor though.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like it doesn't taste watered down at all. Like 1.5% beer, I'm like, oh, it's going to be really watered down. It's not. It's delicious.
I mean, it's light body, but it's a 1.5% beer. Yeah, it's really, really drinkable.
And we're super happy to be working with Tired Hands, obviously. I mean, Gene, you make some amazing stuff. And they're continuing to work with. This is their second beer they made with our malt, and they're going to make a big beer at the Fermenteria in the next couple weeks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
have you been there yet?
Nope.
The mushroom tacos are out of this world.
Those are words I don't want to hear next to each
They're
other.
so good. Oh my
tacos.
gosh,
Yeah, they're solid.
the food is so
Do
good.
they have real tacos?
They have tacos that have other things in them besides mushrooms.
They have a carne asada taco. That's
See, there we go.
Now you're talking.
There we go.
fish
Other
taco.
Josh gets me.
They have
Fish
fried
tacos are
chicken.
good.
Yeah.
Fried chicken, yeah.
Fried chicken for two,
do
or
it.
Dan.
Or 4.
Hey. Stop being so right.
And then there's the candied bacon, of course.
Oh, that candy
I'm
bacon
sorry, what?
changed my life. Seriously.
When they first opened,
You
it was
haven't had
always
the
sold
candied
out.
bacon?
No.
Wait, you have
goodness.
never had the candied bacon there?
Nope.
Oh,
I've never been
go
there.
there tonight.
Wait, what?
All right.
Oh yeah,
Never
at
been.
the cafe.
Wow.
I found out
Yeah.
they're like 20 minutes from my house, and I've never been. 20 minutes
And
in
there's
good traffic.
and you can take the train or bus or something.
I could.
Yeah, Gene's great. I mean, he's so busy. And honestly, if you're a brewer in this environment and you're not busy all the time, you're probably doing something wrong. So sometimes it's tough to work with people just because they've got so much going on. But yeah, Gene's phenomenal. We love working with him.
I live in Ardmore, so I
Oh.
frequent Tired Hands quite often.
That's not a bad place to live.
It's within crawling distance, for sure.
That's awesome.
What are we doing next?
He has complete autonomy right now.
The next
Excellent.
one we're doing is Round Guy's Blue Mon Ale, which is a 5.2 ABV wit beer that I hear was conditioned on blueberries.
Ooh.
What?
Rumor has it.
It's
Rumor has
it's
it.
blueberry puree, I believe, but it's it's
counts.
it's a nice summer beer. It's a little bit tart. It's a mix of pale ale, Dutch, and Spelt from Deer Creek Malt House.
Hey, I've heard of them.
Who?
In a golden avalanche growler.
Well,
I hadn't heard of them.
Yeah, there's several beers we're gonna taste tonight that I haven't tried yet, actually.
Ooh.
So I'm excited.
Is this one of them?
Yep, this is one.
Ooh, I get the blueberry. At least I think I do. I don't know if it's a psychological thing or not.
it's definitely berry in the flavor,
Yeah.
and I would categorize it as blueberry. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it. It's a bit more fuller body than the one we just had.
Yeah.
It's got typical wit beer nose with a bit of spice and dry kind of wit beer-esque phenol.
Wit beer-esque.
Wit
I like that.
That's the technical term.
Nice. Okay.
I can't keep up. You got to stop using all these technical terms. So it's good. It has to use a technical term, a juicy quality.
It does. It is very juicy.
Yeah.
Juicy-esque.
Juicy-esque.
It is juicy-esque.
Yeah, just add esque on the end of anything, and it sounds more sophisticated.
It's definitely beer-esque. Yeah, but even for having that kind of juicy, full flavored body to it, it has a nice crisp, almost semi-dry finish, which is really kind of heightens the citrus or the berry notes in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it cleans up rather well.
After itself.
I was trying to say it differently than we always say, but
I'm kind of surprised how clear it is.
It's got great clarity.
With
it is very
blueberry.
clear. Yeah,
like usually the tannin or something, you
think you'd
see
get
a little
something
haze.
out of it, but yeah.
And Scott said I think he was looking for more of a blue color, and it just didn't come through kind of as he expected. But I think it's really nice looking.
I'll give him a blue tinge.
Really, I don't get that at all.
Well,
Greenish. It's like blue-green.
It's a technical
It's yellow.
tinge.
It's yellow. What are you talking about? Yellow. But I mean, and the blueberry flavor is not very pronounced, so it's not surprising that it didn't.
Which
make up
I'm
too
kind
much
of
the
glad
color.
about.
Yeah,
I like that
nice,
it's subtle.
It's
Yeah.
understated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day I've had a blueberry beer before. I forget who made it, but it tasted so bad.
Was
it
it
was awful.
was it a blueberry belch, perhaps?
No, I don't.
Was it blueberry?
No, it wasn't blueberry.
So this is pale ale and wheat
And spelt.
And
and
spelt.
spelt.
Yep.
Spelt.
So, explain to our listeners what is spelt.
Scott.
Scott, the science guy.
It's a delicious
the
malt.
beer section, so I wasn't expecting to talk. Spelt is a kind of an ancient small grain. It's closely related to wheat, but it usually when it's harvested, the husks don't come off of it, so you have to go through a second processing step between harvest and when you would process it or malt it.
So practically, as a brewer, you'd use it similar to wheat, like
Yeah,
10 or
to
20%.
Thicken the body a little bit.
Yeah, it's got a little different flavor. It's a little more complex, a little more kind of nutty, and it adds some complexity in it. We have another beer later that it's a saison made with our spelt.
Ooh.
So we'll
Spelt
try that.
saison, perhaps?
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Aptly named.
That is what it's called.
Yes.
This is actually organic spelt as well.
Pennsylvania
Ooh.
organic
Pennsylvania
spelt.
organic spelt.
Malted by Deer Creek Malt House, actually.
Hashtag Bandlers.
Hashtag Fantlers.
.com.
Hashtag PA Craft Malt. Hashtag Craft Malt. Hashtag PA Beer. Hashtag.
I like hashtags. I like the branded glasses. Can people buy any of your branded merchandise? Is that possible yet?
$1,000.
For the right price.
Everything here is for sale. No. Yeah, we actually did a T-shirt run not too long ago, and I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but our intent is to have things available for people. What we've started doing is doing like just editions of T-shirts. So the first run of T-shirts were done. You could order online. I think what we'll probably do is a different T-shirt next time, and people can order them, and eventually we'll expand into more things. We also had a hat. We'll have a different hat probably next time.
Does the T-shirt have the Bandlers?
Indeed, it does.
Hey.
I think all the T-shirts will probably have the Bantlers in some form or another.
I feel like I need a Bantler shirt.
Yeah,
I think we can
we
make
actually
that happen.
we could make that happen.
Yeah.
Might be your lucky night.
$1,000.
What about $5?
How about a trade
$5,000.
for a Beer Busters T-shirt?
Shit, I didn't bring it.
This isn't an open to the
And
public
none of us
event.
are wearing one.
None of us are wearing a
Usually
Reebok
there's a
shirt.
box of them in the car, but I'm like, this isn't a public event. I don't need to drag the box with. Damn it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get an e-store set up at some point, but our focus is making malt right now, and when we can, we're trying to make some fun swag for ourselves and friends and family, and for beer fans and malt fans, but yeah, not too much out there right now.
But how cool
Limited
is it?
supply.
You get a shirt at every brewery, but to have a malt house shirt,
I know, right?
That's That's hipster.
I
That's
have-
awesome.
It's rather meta.
It's rather meta.
I have a White Labs T-shirt,
Ooh, that's also
really?
meta.
and it says hashtag my pitches. Come on,
That's pretty good.
That's clever.
I'll let that one slide.
it's like the best shirt ever.
I'll allow this hashtag.
I'm Dan Baker, and I approve this hashtag.
So Josh, what's next?
Yes, so the next beer is going to be the aforementioned Spelt Saison from
Oh,
Vault
nice.
Brewery.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Another one I haven't tried.
Me neither.
Me neither.
I had it in the fermenter. I haven't had it since it's finished, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I had it before they thought of it.
In my
it was cool.
mind.
Hipster battles.
Hashtag I had that beer before you.
Oh, baby.
So this is from Vault, and they've done a lot with this also. They actually did 2 batches of this one, and they've got a couple coming up as well, made with our malt. They made an alt beer with the Dutch. There was like 90-something% Dutch, and they lagered it a little bit. It was delicious. And then, of course, this is a Saison made with our Spelt.
Yeah, we had the alt beer at our field day, actually. That was one of the beers
Right.
that was here for the field that we have.
It's a really interesting nose. 'Cause
Yeah.
You
What
definitely you smell the pilsners. You get some of that spiciness from the yeast phenols, and you get a bit of the citrus, and it melds together in this very grainy, earthy.
It reminds me of something specific that I can't
like bubble
put my
gum.
finger on. It's bubble
Yeah,
It's very
uh,
Belgian.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the yeast strain for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of, you get some of those flavors, but it's very pleasant.
Ooh.
It's subtle, but it's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, some nice spice character.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's really good.
that's nice. You get the citrusy, you get the clove.
Pilsner comes through, citrus comes through.
I think the
dry
Pilsner
finish.
kind of, it takes it in a direction you're not expecting. When you smell it, to me, I was expecting more on the sweet side.
Right, some more backbone to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
It's nice.
fill that. Yeah, it's
It
nice.
starts out a little sweet, but then it kind of gets tart, and then
There's
So it
something else
dries
there I
up
can't put
and-
my finger on.
there
And
is. It
it's-
reminds me of like a specific, like almost like a candy.
Yeah.
Like a specific type of candy that I can't think of.
Tops bubblegum.
Top
those,
bubble gum.
Yeah.
From those baseball
Baseball
cards.
cards.
Baseball cards. Okay.
Like the 80s.
I could see that, but that's
I
not
get a
what
little
I'm
bit of
thinking
that.
Maybe
you know?
Pez?
Something
In a way,
like that,
like-
like almost Smarties.
Yeah.
Pez, kind of like a chalky
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Fruity Pebbles.
Not Fruity Pebbles. No.
Fruity Pebbles.
It's very interesting though, and it's I'm a big fan of saisons, and this is a really good saison.
Have any of you had the nitro can? I've yet to get my hands on some.
I think we have one upstairs.
What?
Yeah, the stout. They just
Yeah.
bottled or canned the what's it? The sweet potato one.
Wait, what?
Nice.
Sorry.
I saw cans of the sweet potato beer from Vault there yesterday. I don't think they're releasing it for another couple weeks, but
Sweet potato.
It's going
beer.
down.
It's,
It's
so
going
good.
down.
Well,
It's a great beer.
happening.
The,
right
the
now.
Funky Buddha sweet potato casserole is very.
There's a few. I've never had a sweet potato beer. But there's a few of them out there. Yeah.
I must have totally missed all of them.
Or you weren't paying attention during There's Weird in My Beer because it's come up in that
I
game
never do.
before.
Vault has been making great stuff since the beginning.
Yeah.
I've
Including Spelt Saison.
yeah. Well, they haven't been making that since the beginning,
Why
but
they've been
but
making-
it is a great beer. You're right.
yeah, Mark Thomas is very well educated and very very precise. He knows a lot technically, and I think that helps him a lot.
It's such a cool location.
Oh yeah, so
So, Mark, what do you think of this beer?
It's wet.
Is this why we let other Josh do the tasting
It
notes?
tastes like it has malt and hops in it.
And
And spelt. no, it's really good. Like I said, I mean, I get a lot of spice. Definitely get some of the yeast characteristics coming through, which is really nice, and some of the pilsner too. It's kind of nice to get some of the earthy, like straw characteristics from the malt in this beer too. So yeah, it's really pleasant. I really like it.
And it would be good in a can.
it
Yeah,
would be good
absolutely.
in a can.
Great, I can.
In a can. Should we do one more and then play a game? What do you think?
Yes.
Josh, you want to choose one more?
One more.
But you should leave this one on the table.
So I figured we'd kind of transition into something a bit darker, not dark, but kind of move up the color spectrum and move up the malt spectrum into something a bit sweeter. So this is the Second Story Pennsylvania Lager. It's 4.6%. Uses some malted barley, some of our two-row. I don't know if it has any Dutch in it.
I think it's got a hair of Dutch.
A little bit of Dutch and some rye, but it's definitely.
That's a sound clip right there.
Hair of
I think it's got a
Dutch.
hair of Dutch.
What's the unit of measurement there?
Well, it's blonde. Dutch people are blonde.
The blonde sea hair. As opposed to a brunette sea hair.
We've got LBs on our bags. And so.
Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
It's got, to be serious for a second,
Yes.
it's got a wonderful aroma.
It does.
A nice malty,
Yeah.
nice lagery, just really. Those are all technical terms, by the way.
It is lagery-esque, sweet-esque, caramel.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before. John does really well with a lot of styles, but what he does with lagers is top
Very
level.
nice.
He took that brewery and
Yeah.
he is brewing the way that brewery is meant to be brewed on.
Yeah,
if
and
that makes sense.
When we recorded with John at Second Story a little while ago, and he talked about how he walked into this brewery that was just built for lagering, and luckily he was a brewer who knew how to make good lagers, and the two things just came together, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, well, that was the old Triumph location.
Yep.
Right.
So it was turnkey for them, and Triumph beers, whether you like them or not, they have, I think, a tradition of lagering. So it probably worked out really well for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the malts John used for this beer too lend really well for the style. I mean, the Independence Pale Ale.
Yeah, it's all pale ale.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean, the flavor deceives you, but
Yeah.
it's all pale ale.
yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the color, that's pale ale.
And this is, I mean, it's called the Pennsylvania Lager. This is a Pennsylvania beer.
It is.
It's a German, it's a lager. It's got the local malts.
The grains were grown here. It was malted here, brewed
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
By Deer Creek Malt House.
Yes, by DeerCreekMaltHouse.com.
Those fuckers.
But this beer tastes like Pennsylvania. I don't know what that means, but this beer tastes like Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long history of making lager beers
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania and rye beers too, and this is it's great to style. I'm blown away every time I try this one.
Good job, John.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
Well, I'm tweeting at him, so
It will be.
it'll be like easier.
I just did too. That was
Hashtag tastes like Pennsylvania.
that was when Steph busted me for not saying anything. I was too busy.
See, I'm good at multitasking. I can tweet and talk at the same time.
What?
Gauntlet.
Is that beer. All right. Okay.
And what do you think of this beer? Twitter? What?
It's just pure sizzle.
That's like perfect.
Did you say pure sizzle?
Pure sizzle. You can't teach that.
Episode 69, pure sizzle.
Pure sizzle. There's a title idea.
Episode what?
69.
Oh, you're kidding.
Is
No
that,
way.
is that what this is?
Yep.
I feel
Weird.
I feel dirtier.
I didn't know.
Speaking of feeling dirty, I feel like we should play a game.
Oh, is that happening?
I didn't even get to give my comments on the beer, but okay.
Dan, what do you think of this beer?
Hey, this beer's good. Hey, Wayne, let's play a game.
I was trying to give myself a second to bring it up on my phone.
How many more beers do we have?
I know. That's why I felt like maybe we should start.
So, Wayne, what do we have?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Just for you.
My brothers and sisters in podcast land. Welcome to the tangled web of beer education and fermentertainment that is Happy Fun Time Games, where sacred wisdom passed down through the bloodlines of the chosen houses of eternal enlightenment is spoken in hushed tones from the bewildering shadows of the deepest corners of human consciousness. Also, there's trivia games about beer. And today, we return once again to the continuation of the beer education of the Beer Buster Nation with the one and only libation or fabrication. Everybody knows how this game works. I'll give you the name of the beer. You tell me, is it real or is it fake? If you're right, you win. If you're wrong, you lose, and we throw things at you. And we are going to start, as always, to my left with my one and only brother Dan. And our first beer in this edition of Libation or Fabrication is called Soft Dookie. Is that a real or fake beer?
Soft Dookie.
Yes.
I'm gonna say real.
Dan is gonna say real.
You
Josh
bitch.
won.
Yeah, I gotta say real.
You gotta say real. Josh
Let's just
number
go to
2.
the next one.
Fake? Okay.
Real.
Real. Scott?
I'll go with fake.
All right, Scott's going to go with fake.
I'm going to go with the correct answer, which is real.
Shut up, Steph. So everybody except Scott is correct. It's real.
Did you just say shut up, Steph? Shut up, Luke.
Shut up, Steph. All right, so that one's real. It's a 10% stout from Evil Twin Brewing, properly known as Soft DK or Dookie. The stout looks like Soft Dookie, and some will say it smells and tastes like it too. If you like a thick, creamy, and utterly vanilla-licious stout, you'll like this one. If you don't, get yourself something else instead.
Who
Moving
says
on.
it tastes like it, and why would they know?
That's actually the commercial description from the brewery itself.
Weird.
Yeah. So moving on
They're Danish.
to Josh Prime for our second beer of the game. And this beer,
Joshtimus Prime.
this beer is entitled Pepperation H. Is that real or fake?
No way.
Why
Fake.
are we on?
Totally fake.
Why? What's the
Totally
deal
fake.
with like the ass theme here?
Moving on to Josh
It's peppers. It's not
secondary.
butts.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say
Tertiary?
false.
It's not
false. No.
False, fake,
No. False,
fabrication.
fake.
Fabrication.
False, fake, fabrication all begin with F, and that's what I'm going to write under your column. Scott, is that real or fake?
I would say fake.
Saying fake as well. Moving over to Mark.
I too choose fake.
I, too, choose fake. Steph, you're allowed to speak this time. Do you think it's real or fake?
Out of timeout.
I'm going to say real just because they all said fake.
Going to buck the trend with real and swinging back over to Dan. Real or fake? Libation or fabrication?
I'll go real. Why the hell not?
Dan is going to go real, and surprisingly, my fellow beer busters are the only ones who are correct on this one because it is, in fact, a really real beer. It is a 7.2% cherry wood smoked amber ale from Against the Grain Brewery. It is brewed
Is
with
preparation H cherry flavored?
pepperation.
Oh, wait, that's a
Cherry
cream.
wood.
I don't think that's something you're supposed to
Hold
put
on.
in your mouth.
I know. I had
H
I had that
does
realization
not
as
come
the
in
words were coming out of my mouth.
However, anal ease does. It's from Against the Grain Brewery. It is
True story.
It is brewed with puree of guajillo, morita, pasilla, and chipotle peppers.
Wait, what?
Plus a post-fermentation addition of habanero to give bright fruit flavors.
Oh, because
and a
after you
slight-
drink
It's
it.
gonna hurt on the way out.
And hickory wood to give some honey
wait,
and
what-
cocoa-like
What brewery?
flavors from Against the Grain
From Against the Grain.
Brewery.
That doesn't
So,
In collaboration
before,
with Johnson & Johnson.
before you sit your ass down, better have some
Oh,
preparation.
nice.
Moving
Get it.
on to other Josh, who's going to go first on this one. And this next beer is called Don't Whiz on the Electric Fence. Is that real or fake?
I'm gonna say fake.
You're going to say fake. Okay, Scott, what do you think?
I think that has to be real.
You think that has to be real? Okay. Moving over to Mark. Agree or disagree?
False.
False. Circle gets the square. Steph,
I'm going to say real.
you're going to say real. Dan.
I want to say fake only because Nickelodeon would have sued the hell out of them.
Okay, fake because Nickelodeon wouldn't have sued
Nickelodeon
them.
would have no idea.
And Josh, the original.
Negative.
Negative, as in fake. Well, the only two people who were wrong were Scott and Steph. Because it is, in fact, fake. It is not a beer, but it is a fun for the whole family board game and catchy jingle from Ren and Stimpy.
Don't whiz on the electric fence.
Don't whiz on the electric fence. I actually watched that clip on YouTube today because for some reason, I was trying to think of fake beer names, and out of nowhere, that popped back in my head from like
Perfect.
however long ago that was. But it's really violent because Ren comes home and Stimpy and Sven are
Oh, Sven. I forgot about Sven.
yeah, and he's like, I can finally indulge in my intellectual pursuits. And he's like, my opera records covered in bubble gum. and my fossilized dinosaur droppings painted like Easter eggs and all these things they've done. And he's like, I'm going to rip your lips off and gouge your eyes out and pull your arms out of their sockets. But first, I have to take a leak. and then he whizzes on the
Yay, Nickelodeon.
Yeah. So definitely, you look that up on YouTube after you go to Beer Busters Podcast YouTube channel.com/user. For the remainder of the game, we are going to leave the toilet humor behind and move on to the far more dignified world of punnery for our last beer of the game.
We'll find a way to poop it up.
And Scott is going to go first on this one, if I'm keeping track correctly. And this beer is entitled, fittingly, Gourd of the Rings. Is that real or fake?
I think that must be real.
All right, saying that's real. Mark, what do you think?
Only because I want it to be true.
Okay, Mark wants it to be true. Wishful thinking. Steph, what do you
I'll
think?
say real.
Steph is going to say real. Dan?
I want to say real as well.
Dan wants to say real, but are you going
I'm going
to
to
say
say
real?
real
You're going
because
to say
I want
real.
it to be real as well.
All right, and original flavor, Josh?
They're like the Doublemint twins.
Double Dutch twins.
Double Dutch twins.
I gotta say no on that one.
You're going to say it's fake?
Oh.
Okay. And finally, extra tasty, crispy, Josh. Is that real or
I'm
fake?
gonna have to go with my namesake Reverend and say false.
And say false. Well, by agreeing with your namesake, you are wrong. Because that is a really real beer. It's a 6.7% ABV pumpkin beer. No surprise, bitches probably love it.
I'd rather be wrong together.
Cambridge Brewing. Gourd of the Rings has notes of fresh ginger, black pepper, and fresh orange that take prominence over any lingering bitterness. The spicy notes of their authentic Belgian yeast strain also allows the pumpkin to express itself subtly and not overwhelm the delicate palate.
Subtly?
It is subtle.
Subtly?
Subtly.
Subtly?
Subtly.
Usually, I'm the one that can't talk correctly.
Crushification. This beer is forged in the primordial fires of Mount Dune, also known as Cambridge, Massachusetts. So I'm going to add up the scores real quick and see who our big winner is today. I am also going to do it quick in a fast way. And with a perfect score, ladies and gentlemen.
He cheated.
With a perfect score.
With a perfect score.
To my left, Dan. 4 single solid points at the top of the food chain. Coming in tied for second place to my right, Mark and Steph. Coming in tied for third place, the Josh twins. And unfortunately, with only one correct answer at the bottom is Scott. I apologize.
For our next round, we're going to play Name That Crop.
We're going to skip that game.
It's an oat.
Oh, darn, it's dark out.
Oh, shucks.
Rhymes with.
Starts with.
Well, on that note, I feel like Steph wants to teach us something, so.
No.
Your beers.
No. Know your beers.
Steph, what do you got?
So I'm going to ask for help from our 4 friends to my right. Because for this episode's Know Your Beer segment, we're going to talk about what else but malt.
Yay!
What's that?
So if you haven't seen our YouTube video, I don't know if we've mentioned that yet in this
Beerbusters.com.
episode, but with Deer Creek Malt House, the
Podcast.
guys broke down the The guys broke down the steps of the malting process and gave us a look inside the malt house. So let's review, for those of you that watched, or teach those of you that haven't, the main steps in the production of malt from barley. So guys, feel free to chime in at any time. Step 1 in the malting process, of course, is barley selection. Barley is selected based on variety, where it was grown, and physical and analytical and evaluation, including moisture content, protein content, and germinating capacity.
True.
Is this trivia or
Fabrication.
Yes.
I'm gonna say true.
Okay.
So that it's
I just figured I'd pause after each step in case you guys wanted to elaborate more.
no. And like I said earlier, it probably the most important step if I had to choose one, because you can't do anything downstream unless you get really high quality barley, and that's where Scott has been really key in this malting venture of ours, because you can't make good beer with bad barley.
And I'd say, like, globally, like big malt houses, I mean, it's a clearly important step. They have to test every lot that comes in. For us, we actually need to develop new varieties that work well here for our farmers and for us. Yeah. So for us, I mean, in the Mid-Atlantic at least, it's a huge step.
Yeah,
and a lot of our effort focuses on on doing that and developing.
Yeah, and multiple layers to it as well. I mean, you need something that grows well here, so there's agronomic factors. You need malting characteristics that meet some of the needs of craft brewers, and then flavor, which we didn't really discuss, but another thing that we're trying to incorporate in some of the variety selection process. We do a lot of smash beers and micro malting and lab scale testing just to see what some of the different barley varieties taste like, which hasn't been incorporated at all in a lot of the selection process in research and development for a lot of the commercial varieties that are in production right now. So it's really important for us.
So step 2 is storing, cleaning, and sizing. Barley is segregated in storage by crop year and variety. The lots may also be segregated according to protein level, sizing, and geographic origin. The goal is to keep the barley in sound condition. Cleaning and sizing before steeping results in barley kernels of uniform size and predetermined width, free of broken barley and other seeds.
Also true.
You are correct.
Step 2, yeah, absolutely. So cleaning and sizing, really, really important as well. Happens prior to the initiation of germination, and really important to get the malting process off on the right foot. And we do all of our cleaning outside. We make a big mess. It's very dusty. But having a nice uniform mixture of grain, or regardless of whether it's barley, wheat, rye, sorghum, whatever is going to go into the steep tank's important, so that we start ourselves off to have nice process consistency from the jump when we start the germination process. If all the kernels are the same size and are nice and plump, you can have a lot of extract, and they're all going to be uptaking moisture at the same time and germinating at the same rate, hopefully.
Which leads us into step 3, steeping. Steeping evenly hydrates the barley kernel to a moisture content of about 45% to allow uniform growth during germination. Steeping also cleans the barley by washing and getting rid of lightweight kernels.
Yeah, we actually steep in a salvaged piece of steel that we got from Pennsylvania. In general, we've tried to use as many recycled or upcycled pieces of equipment that we can to make malt in our barn here. And yeah, it's step 3.
Moving on to step 4, germination. This is the
Really
kernels.
bad
The kernels are allowed to grow under controlled temperature and humidity conditions.
Yeah, so we traditionally floor germinate grain the way it was done hundreds of years ago. Right behind you guys mentioned, you can see that it's thousands, we'll say. Well, multiple hundreds.
Maybe 1,000. Probably 1,000.
Math. Step 5 is kilning. The kernels are dried by exposure to heat and airflow, stopping growth, but also producing flavor, aroma, and color in the malt. This step results in a stable, storable product.
When I was going over the notes for this episode, I read that as killing right after germination, and you don't want to know where my mind went.
Wow.
Yeah, we kiln in a modified shipping container, another piece of recycled steel, and that's where you can really develop a lot of different flavors and colors during the malting process. And just another example of how we've kind of had to be ingenuitive to create a malt house with very little, commercial equipment that we could go and buy.
On the Lovabond scale, how high are you guys able to go with what you're working with here?
Right now, we're up to about 20 SRM, a dark aromatic Munich or double Dutch. We're still experimenting a little bit with our equipment in our kiln, but before we kind of branch into some of the more specialty, higher roasted crystals, stewed malts, we want to develop some more specialized equipment so that we can have even better process control. We developed our kiln to do low or normal temperature cured malts. It's wood lined, it's got a nice traditional feel, and it's really not suited to make higher temperature, especially stewed malts where there's a lot of moisture and you need some mixing and no airflow. So that's kind of the limits right now of our current process capacity and equipment.
And finally, step 6, cleaning and binning the malt. The kiln-dried malt is cleaned to remove rootlets and sprouts before storage. Aging the malt prior to shipment allows moisture to balance in the kernel, and the malt is cleaned again before sent to the brewery.
Yep, another dusty step. So we clean and decomb or get rid of the rootlets or the beards on the barley outside, and it's a very dusty step, but important to eliminate a lot of rootlets that actually are flavor and color active. So I want to take them off of the barley or wheat or rye again, depending on the grain that you're malting, before it goes into a bag and gets used in a beer or spirit.
This is a difficult step for brewers because we have them come out and do tours, and we show them the process, and we talk about a debearder, and a lot of brewers kind of freak out. You have to stay away from the debearder.
As long as you don't have a decargo short, sir.
Yeah, it's about the only time in brewing where debearding is like sort of an acceptable thing. When you're debearding malt.
In general, though, we are pro beard.
Yeah.
All right, good.
The Tired
course.
Hands Tough Leather was 10% before it hit the debearder, and now it's 1.5.
Nice.
Well, now that we had a refresher on the malting process,
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
what do we got?
So the next beer is actually one that we brewed in-house here. It's a fest beer or a Marzen, like in a German-style lager. Uses some Pilsner and some Dutch and some Double Dutch, and then lager traditionally.
If it uses Dutch and then double Dutch, does that mean there's triple Dutch in it?
It is a triple Dutch beer.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You cannot have a quad Dutch beer.
no, that would be dividing by 0.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's not odd. Only Chuck Norris can do that.
There's a song called Divide by Zero. I think it's by The Offspring, if I remember right. Random.
You can't divide by
German
zero.
noble hops too, right?
Yeah, Hellertau.
Yeah.
Hellertau.
So I actually served this beer at one of my friend's weddings in Maine a couple weeks ago. Brought this and Saison that we made, a 5-grain Saison up there for the wedding. And people were big fans. Went over well.
Good. Just looking at all the pours, I like the way it pours. I like the color of it. It looks very, very good. Low head.
It's a very Märzen-y color.
Märzen.
Yes.
Which is a
Ooh.
nice rich copper color.
You're gonna taste some Dutch and some double Dutch coming through.
Triple Dutch, if you would.
Nice.
Basically, the most Dutch.
It's the
you can
most
have.
Dutch.
Yeah.
It's all the Dutch.
All the Dutch.
I taste all the Dutch. It is very good. It's nice and bold and rich and just
Steph lost it.
Steph. I don't know what's going
You're
on.
right over there. What's going on?
I don't know what's going on.
It's really good.
Yeah, so it was just trying to go for a traditional style fest beer. I don't know. I have a hard time describing the beers that I've made, but it's
You get that subtle caramel sweetness that you
Oh, yeah.
expect from a Märzen, but there's like a punch of, I don't want to call it bitterness, but there's something in the finish that's really pleasant, and then it's really dry, which I like.
It's a little bit of spice, some
Yeah.
kind of spice almost.
that probably comes from the yeast, and then the noble hops as well. So you get a bit of spiciness at the finish that kind of accentuates by the dryness of the beer. And
Goes really well with Smart Food white cheddar popcorn.
Doesn't everything.
I was going to say, is anything not?
It's funny when I taste this beer now, all I taste is our malt because like it's just a perfect style for the Dutch, the double Dutch, like Milds, Oktoberfest, Marzens. It's just it works really well.
I mean, a lot of the brewing we do in-house is really to accentuate the malt and really characterize it as, forefront over any hops or anything like that, yeast strains, because if we have customers that come in or we have people that come in, obviously what we want to showcase is the malt rather than anything else. So if we can do things like this, or we've done a mild before and a 5-grain Saison. We have a Cascade Pale Ale that's very malt forward that we'll be serving later, and so it's all really just to showcase the malt, so you can kind of give something tangible and see what it'll do.
Part of our malt analysis.
That's right.
Yeah, it's helpful to brewers too, because they ask me or they ask us, what should I make? What's a good beer for this style of malt? And to be able to go with a bottle or whatever and say, this is what the double Dutch tastes like, or this is what the Dutch tastes like, and this is what we did, on a small scale, but just some ideas for recipes. I mean, a lot of them really appreciate that.
How often do you brew?
Ideally, I try to brew once a week. Obviously, our production schedule is priority, so it may not be once a week, but maybe twice a month, and depending if we're really busy, once a month. But the ideal is to try to brew once a month, once a week.
Yeah, and it's functional testing. That's part of our production process. The more we can brew, the more we can do testing on the benchtop, the better malt stills will be and the better malt we'll be able to make.
Yeah, especially when we do weird grains, like, we made a batch of sorghum malt, and the more we experiment with it and the more we test it, the better we can direct or like make recommendations to our brewing customers to how to use it or what kind of recipe to use, or it needs a step mash or it needs to be milled in a certain way in order to get the extract. So it helps us kind of make recommendations to our customers too.
Do you also get feedback from your customers
Oh,
that
yeah.
have used your grains? And
Oh yeah, it's all good, of course.
There was never any question.
No, I mean, honestly, we do get really good feedback, especially on flavor. People really like the flavor, and I think that has a lot to do with the floor malting. It adds kind of a depth of flavor, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, we do spec testing. We do a lot of testing in-house in terms of figuring out the extract, the color, the size, conversion time, filtering, all kinds of things like that. And that helps our customers, figure out how to use the malts and what kind of steps, or if they want to do a step mash, if they want to do single infusion. Most people do the single infusion, but we do get feedback. I mean, some people come back and they say, we like this, but we want it to be a little more, sweet, or we want it to be a little more caramel or whatever. And it helps us also direct them into what kind of products that they can choose to get the profile that they're looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, everything that we make is customer focused. I mean, we don't just say, hey, let's make blah. I mean, even going back to the farming aspect of what we do, we're specifically targeting varieties and barley that has specific protein levels and characteristics, whether it's protein or lower enzymes that will lend better to what craft brewers in the area are trying to make.
now, when we were here to do the video, you talked about trying to do some creative malts as well, incorporating interesting flavors within the malts. Have you had any time or opportunity to explore that creativity?
Yeah, I mean, we're a little limited with some of our process capabilities right now with what we can do, especially in our kiln. But some of the ways that we've been experimenting is just with different types of grains. Sorghum's a great example, oats, rye and wheat.
Acid malt.
So we did a little test batch of acidulated malt, not by actually using bacteria or spraying with lactic acid, but by trying to force fermentation and create an anaerobic situation where the barley itself is producing lactic acid. So yeah, we're trying to do what we can given our limited resources right now. But yeah, definitely something that we're trying to do more of, and trying to like I said, figure out what brewers want and what they're trying to they don't have access to try and make for them.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of time to go putting herbs and fruit and things into the steep, but it's definitely something we want to do. No, we'd love to. I mean,
For sure.
we're all about experimentation, and I think brewers like that too, getting something that's unique and having more things in their toolbox to make interesting beers.
And invite the brewer here to be a part of that process.
Sure. Yeah.
Be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. Cheers.
Thanks.
Prost.
Yeah,
Prost.
it's
Prost.
good.
Prost.
My glass is empty.
Sante.
It was good.
Sancha.
Put the cat back on, so get in there.
So Wayne, drink.
Not driving.
What do we get next, Master?
Yeah.
So the next beer we're going to be serving is a Deer Creek Amber from Broken Goblet.
It's a lot of pale ale and a little bit of Dutch. Sorry, a little bit of double Dutch.
Is it a hair?
A lot of pale ale and a little bit of
Several
Dutch.
hairs of double Dutch.
hair?
A hair.
Yeah,
So this beer currently is just on limited release at Broken Goblet for members of their Goblet Club, but they're planning on scaling it up and making it available to everybody. It's a pale ale. It's you get a lot of the double Dutch complexity kind of coming through, but quite hoppy as well.
another one I haven't tasted.
So, Steph, what do you think?
It's good.
It does have a nice hop character to it. A nice
Happiness.
hoppiness. Yeah.
Hopitude, good hopitude.
Hopitude. Hopoliciousness.
Deliciousness.
Hop-esque.
The double Dutch comes through in the aroma and flavor. You get a bit of that roasted astringency and flavor.
Yeah, it gives a pleasant complexity to the amber style.
Yeah.
An amber is usually an amber, but it kind of takes the amber to the next level.
Yeah, like a little extra, like toasted bread, kind of on the end. Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected this flavor out of it when looking at it. I'm actually really surprised with it. I like it.
Yeah, it tastes quite darker than it actually looks.
That's the double Dutch.
That is pretty amazing that a malt that light in color produces such dark flavors, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I know
I
what
think
you
it
mean.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's almost like an aromatic, like melanoidin type malt.
Yeah.
It actually is a melanoid.
You are correct.
You are. That's true.
Like
True.
Correct.
To that trivia question.
No, I know, but like we don't. Nice. We don't use that word. But
By definition, a dark aromatic Munich style melanoided malt.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
You may be right, but you may be wrong.
Maybe crazy.
Yeah, this is awesome. Another one I haven't tasted. This is really cool.
Just maybe a lunatic.
Nice.
That you're looking for?
Is this on tap at the brewery?
Nice.
yeah, it is, but it's only for members of the Goblet Club or whatever it is. I forget the name of their club that they have.
So special people.
like the Founders Club or whatever it is. But they will scale it up, and it should be available probably in the next couple months.
It's clean.
for everybody.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's clean.
It's
Definitely.
clean.
Yes,
Yeah, it's got a nice clean finish.
clean love.
So, other Josh, what's next?
So the next beer we'll be pouring is from the other the brewery of Hershey, the brewery at Hershey, brewery of Hershey. Yeah. So it's a pale ale. Uses a bit of our Dutch, our Dirndl, and uses our Dirndl. Uses some Dutch malt, and I don't remember what hops Ryan said that were in here, but they are Pennsylvania hops as well.
Are they doing these stickers now on the growlers? That's pretty awesome.
Central Pale Ale.
Yeah, we got a flyer too from the Central Pale Ale.
Yeah, so
The
the
poster I saw
hops
up
are
there.
Centennial hops from Pennsylvania. It's a state.
No.
You may
It's
have-
a
it's a
Commonwealth.
You may have seen it on a map.
May have seen it on a map.
So this is 5.4% and about 39 or 38 IBUs.
This is one I haven't had.
And this was brewed in a state,
This is
In a
brewed-
Commonwealth.
this is brewed in
Commonwealth,
the United
actually.
States.
on a
of America.
map.
Yeah. Yeah, another one I haven't had. This is
Next to
awesome.
a chocolate place.
But it's not.
Too much time sleeping in the malt house, not enough time drinking beers.
Seriously,
Can you do both?
you can.
I got to get the beers to the malt house though, so this was a good opportunity to get them here.
Free delivery.
I'm re-delivery. Yeah.
So it's got very spicy Centennial, obviously aroma and flavor to it.
It's got a nice full body to it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It still finishes a bit dry, but you get the sweetness from the Dutch and
Starting to think the Dutch is the superstar, the rock star.
It's a
Your
popular
brew.
malt, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. It's it's got a lot of color, a lot of flavor for a quote unquote base malt. I mean, you can use it up to 100% utilization, and it converts in well less than 30 minutes. But it's a nice versatile malt. It's got a lot of color, a lot of flavor.
It's nice because it adds a lot of, like Mark said, a lot of flavor and a lot of color, and it's really has a unique kind of profile to it that you wouldn't find. I mean, it's not a copycat malt. It's not something that everybody else has that we're making something similar. It's something we designed ourselves.
Trademark Deer Creek.
And it's perfect for this area,
It is, yeah.
for the German culture
Oh, yeah.
and the German beers. And
It's good for making beers that taste like Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we love the kind of German heritage of the Pennsylvania Amish, and
Yeah.
we kind of bring that out in the name.
Mm-hmm. I actually have not had a brewery at Hershey beer in quite a while.
Yeah, me neither.
Now
Probably
that I
about
think of it.
2 years since.
And,
yeah, what's up, Ryan? You need to get back on our show.
Yeah,
really.
man, more pancakes.
I've had one more recently than 2 years, but it's been
I
a while.
haven't.
But yeah, they make awesome beers, and it's worth noting that Ryan DeLutis, the brewer, is also their designer. So he designs these cool labels that they have, and comes
And
up with these crazy
mini
beer names that they
posters.
have, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan's a great guy.
And it's an awesome spot. All the farmland you can see out. I mean,
Oh,
you're out
yeah.
in that like patio area. The brewery's just
I don't think I've ever
really
actually
nice.
been there.
It's
Yeah,
really cool.
They're
Wait,
having
what?
an event sometime this fall, right?
September
Homebrew
19th.
Harvest.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah.
Yeah, September 19th they have their Merlot release and their Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
still
yeah.
wear my
Pumpkin.
Flash Gordon shirt.
Flash.
And apparently, I heard from Ryan that a very special celebrity will be arriving
Yes,
with
I
the
think-
first bottles of Merlot.
I think that's been announced.
Yeah.
Merlot?
No, Merlot. The motorcycle guy from Orange
Oh,
County.
Orange County.
The,
Yeah.
the dad.
The dad.
I don't know his name.
Paul?
Paul Senior.
Paul Senior.
That
There you
show's
go.
not so on though, is it?
I don't know.
I don't think it is.
I will have to check IMDb. I don't know. But yeah, that's
Apparently,
pretty cool.
yeah, he's gonna be driving in the first bottles of Merlot.
That's
during
cool.
The
I'd
festival.
kind of like to meet him. I feel like that would be
Merlot
kind of fun.
Mike.
Just want to see
Merlot Mike.
Merlot Mike.
Why not? So the next beer is another beer we brewed here in house. It is a Cascade Pale Ale that was brewed with primarily our 2-row Pale Ale and a few hairs of Dutch. And
A few Dutch hairs.
a few Dutch hairs. Quite a few Dutch hairs.
Is this called Cascade Pale Ale or
This is a
did
state.
Mark rename
This,
it?
this is
Estate
called
Cascade.
classically pale.
This one didn't get
pale.
renamed. This one didn't get served in Maine.
Yeah.
When the beer goes to Maine, crazy stuff happens.
So the hops that were used in this were also grown on premise, or what we would call estate hops.
Yeah.
So this is all Cascade and 2-row and Dutch here at DeerCreekMalt.com.
So the only way people can drink your beers, your QC beers, is
Or if they come and do
festival
a podcast.
or come here and hang out with you guys.
Come here, do a podcast.
No, nobody else can come here and do a podcast.
No, we have to be here, but they have to be on.
If you bring $1,000.
What what is $1,000 getting us? Like I feel like you have something.
$1,000.
You have something very specific in mind that you want to get with this $1,000.
Oh, what a better brew house.
He wants to buy Star Wars toys.
Is $1,000 the number?
We do need a better
Is that the
brew house.
number?
We need a better brew house.
I feel like you need to be asking for more money.
$1,000 doesn't get you a brew house
I,
these days?
I don't want to be greedy.
I think
you haven't seen our
5,000, 10,000 could get you an awesome system.
I know.
40,000.
45,000.
45.
Festivals though, it's another way. So we've ported a few festivals. PA Flavor. What else are we at?
Fun.
The
Sure.
Pennsylvania
Feed and Farm Show? No, no.
The feed. The feed and farm show. Are we cows?
No, we serve cows.
Cows.
I would go to that festival.
Yeah, it
It's,
sounds.
It was great. The
Food and Farm
Food and
Fest.
Farm
Food and
Festival
Farm
and
Fest,
at the
yes.
Philadelphia
That's correct.
Convention Center.
Yeah.
It was great.
So
We
we're-
served a
That was
Scotch
the
ale.
Scottish,
Ale.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
By the way.
By the way.
Yeah, we'll do a few more festivals next year, and at our field day as well. I mean, that was another opportunity. We didn't serve beer this year, but next year we will be serving some of the beers that we make in house.
Yeah,
at our field day.
we're not a brewery, but we like to make beer to show off what
But
the malt
it's
can
fun
do
to
and
drink
what it
your
tastes
stuff.
like.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, other Josh, you do. I get the gist that you primarily do the brewing here.
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
yeah.
pretty much everyone can't brew beer here.
No, that's not the case. Look, we all have our roles.
Some people have Sizzle, and some people know how to work a mash tun. I mean, that's just.
We wear a lot of hats here. So, I mean, I may be brewing one day. I'm maltstering most of the time. I'm janitoring a lot.
Janitoring.
Yeah, just like brewing,
Janitory size.
maltstering,
That's
malting.
right.
Malting.
Malting is
I like malt stirring
is
better.
a lot of cleaning.
Malting, but not molting.
Yeah.
So we
Just like brewing is.
Just like brewing is, yeah. I mean, the brewing is 90% cleaning, and malting is 83%
83.
cleaning.
That's very precise.
So, yeah, well,
3.5.
I've done this for a little while.
Josh, what are we drinking?
This is an English mild.
A Deer Creek malt house.
Yeah, sorry.
Miles.
So this is a Deer Creek flavor enhanced
.com.
It's made.
Does
with,
it have a special name?
It's
Performance enhancing.
It's called X-Ale, which is traditionally the English style ales during their like party guiles, when they would do a strong ale and then secondary and tertiary kind of runoffs. So this would be an X-Ale, which would be a low gravity beer. It comes in a whopping 4%, and it is 100% the double Dutch.
Ooh.
100.
100%.
If it's double though, would it be 200?
It's a
no.
full head of.
It's 100% double Dutch
Absolutely
or
not.
200% Dutch.
By percent, still 100. Yeah.
No, it's not the same as 200% Dutch. It's 100% double Dutch. There's no equation.
Your math is flawed.
Additionally to being 100% the double D, it is conditioned. It is conditioned on.
You should call it double penetration.
I can't.
double down.
Sorry.
He has kids. Come on.
Yeah, seriously. Think of the children.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
It's conditioned on cherries, rum-soaked cherries, and vanilla beans.
Oh, that's really good.
This is fantastic.
That's right.
yeah. Yeah.
Wake up, Steph. We just threw a bonus beer right
And
at
it's
you.
only 4%.
Yeah.
Wait a fucking
This is straight out of the malt barn.
Oh my god, this is amazing. This is really,
This is really good.
Holy shit.
I really like this.
It's Malt Barn Skunk Works.
That's right.
Malt Barn Skunk Works.
So one of the really unique
Wow.
features of our double Dutch is that you could actually use it up to 100% as well. It converts under 30 minutes, which is pretty rare for a dark aromatic Munich. They typically don't have too much enzymes. So
So wait, what does it have in it? Rum?
Yeah, it's
Rum-soaked cherries.
So it's an English mild, 100% double Dutch, and it's conditioned on rum-soaked cherries and vanilla beans.
That vanilla comes through so well.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Also, check out the color.
The color is amazing.
There are a bit of floaters in there, just
Floaty
because.
bits.
Floaty bits.
Yeah, it's a snack and a drink. All in one.
It's a snack and a drink. I like
I'm gonna
it.
stop.
I like the cherry
I'm gonna
bits.
stop drinking when he talks.
He's just saying, I'm going to stop putting things in my mouth.
I stopped myself.
That's exactly when you should be drinking.
Wow. This is nice.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
I really like this.
Yeah.
So who comes up with the recipes that you guys brew with?
That'd be me.
Josh too.
The other Josh mostly.
Extra tasty,
But-
crispy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of collaboration.
Extra crispy
we think
Josh.
about the malts and what style of beer is going to lend well, like we said earlier, to the malt, and we kind of go from there. And
Yeah, we have a range of QC beers that we do. So we do single malt beers that we have a very specific single malt, very specific hop profile that we'll use just to kind of brew something that's consistent across the board. So whether it be yeast or hops, they're the constant, and then the malt would be, a singularity, and so that we can kind of see what this malt will produce as far as color and flavor and things like that.
yeah, and you tasted a lot of those actually when you did the video, and you're here earlier this year, and single hop, single malt, and the only thing that's really different across the beers is the malt, and 100%. Get a real good sense of what the malt tastes and looks like in its most raw, basic presentation. So very lightly hopped, just basic ale yeast, and but then we do fun stuff like this.
This is great.
This is definitely fun. Yeah.
Ooh.
This is
Ooh, it's
definitely one of my favorites we've had tonight. This
malty
is really good.
and vanilla-y and cherry.
It's awesome. It's got that.
Cherry-esque.
Cherry-esque.
I like that.
That's good.
It's got a great bold malt flavor, which is appropriate. But then you get the cherry and the
Yeah.
vanilla and
The vanilla rounds it out
It's like
so well.
and the rum in the cherries and the vanilla working together to attack your palate with delicious goodness.
In harmony.
In harmony.
Perfect balance
In
and
perfect harmony.
Perfect
Yeah.
fit.
In
I
unison,
brewed it
if you will.
specifically as a warhorse that would attack you in many different
It's a warhorse.
No, what I love is these are ingredients and
So this
flavors
is the-
that you typically expect in like a high alcohol barrel aged beer.
Right.
But at this time of the night would put you on the floor.
Yeah, and that was
but
the
it's
idea.
4%. It's a sessionable
Yeah, and that was
It's
the
a mild.
idea. Was
barrel
it's an English
aged
mild.
inspired beer.
Right. Well,
perhaps?
Keeping you alive.
Yeah, you think of what barrels contribute to flavor. A lot of it's vanilla. If you think of what micro-oxidization does to a beer, it gives it kind of a sherry, almost cherry-like flavor. So the idea was to brew something that was low in alcohol, very malt forward, and kind of just unique in flavor. And so,
Definitely unique. This is fantastic.
I'm going for seconds. I want to be double penetrated.
By the way, as you're listening to this episode, you should go to our Twitter feed and look at the pictures that we're tweeting as we're
Just
recording.
pure sizzle.
So go
It's
back
fun.
to
Pure
last
sizzle.
Friday's Twitter.
It's
Can
fun.
you search by date on Twitter? Can you
Probably
like, go
not.
back in time?
You should
you just
be
got to
able
go back
to.
to the feed.
Just go to our feed and use your thumb.
You know what? Just go back
Oh,
to our
that's
feed
nice.
and look at every tweet. Ever.
No, just search for hashtag Bantlers.
Yeah, or Deer
Oh, I
Creek's-
didn't hashtag Bantlers on that
What
one.
the fuck?
I didn't have enough characters left.
Whatever. It's fine.
Original and extra crispy take a lot of
No.
letters.
Now we know how you really feel.
What
do we get next, Master?
yeah, so
Master of ceremonies.
The next beer we're going to be serving is one that the other Josh, or the original Josh and I
Josh
had.
Prime. Josh Smith.
Josh Smith Prime.
Josh.
We had the pleasure of
Would that
Taste-
make you Mega Josh?
it would.
Joshtimus Prime and Mega Josh.
We were trying to get Tim to come over.
Oh, from
Yeah,
Levante.
yeah,
a little,
Levante,
little
right.
celebrity
Oh yeah, a little
appearance
cameo.
for the
Tim, you
for the
suck.
Levante pour.
Can't do it tonight, but
Nah, he's in our
Oh,
thoughts.
man.
Tim,
Look
you
at
don't. You don't really suck. We love you.
That's right. We love you, Tim.
Just next time, show up.
And bring them all.
really so.
Yeah, so this beer is from Levante, obviously. It is the Glen Mills Mild.
Yes.
Oh, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too.
So it's a really great. Josh and I had the opportunity to taste it prior to public release, and very impressed with it. They did a great job. The malt bill is primarily
This beer is entirely estate grown by Deer Creek, so it's our malt and our hops, which is, I think, a first. And it's a really delicious beer.
Yeah, besides the stuff we've made in house, this is
Right.
one of
Yeah, yeah.
the first commercial beers made with exclusively our malt and our hops, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I love how dark it is. It just looks so perfect.
A fresh hop though.
yeah.
Fresh hop.
Yeah, totally
Yeah,
fresh hops.
The
yeah.
fresh hop by Zero Day was also. This is so awesome. I'm getting to taste so many beers that I haven't had to taste yet.
So they actually started calling this Glen Mills Mild Porter at the beer at the tap room because nobody knew what a mild was, and they.
Well, people need to learn what a mild
People
is.
do need to
Clearly.
learn what a mild is.
We'll call it a porter too.
But once they called it a porter, apparently people were willing to try it. So
This is delicious.
really nice.
It is really
Nice. That picture's awesome.
It's going.
I don't think I've ever had a Levante beer I did not like.
good.
Those
No,
guys are so awesome.
they are really good. I definitely like some of their beers more than others, but I like all their beers.
Yeah.
You're in the back.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Levante is actually making a beer especially for a Villanova entrepreneurship event in September this month. So
They've
the
made
20
the beer.
yeah they've made the beer. They've dubbed it the Twin Spires, named after the Twin Spires of St. Thomas Church at Villanova. And they're going to be serving the beer made with our malt at an entrepreneurship event for the Villanova MBA Alumni Association later this month. So it'll be kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, 24th of September.
Wait a minute. Is this only 3.2%?
What?
Maybe.
Wait a fucking minute.
It's mild.
Yeah.
It's
got a lot of flavor.
Extremely
for-
flavorful.
and, yeah. A lot of character for being.
There's your Deer Creek malt in there actually. But Just gonna
And
give you some
what Deer Creek malts are in this beer?
Dutch.
There's Dutch in this beer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely some
Some
Dutch. Some pale, and I think they had a little bit of double Dutch too, right?
There's some pale in this beer?
Maybe a
Some
hair.
double Dutch.
If
hair
it's
of
like a
double-
hair,
And a
hair
hair
of double
double
Dutch, then a
Dutch.
lot of Dutch. Is it like 2.5 Dutch?
It's
No.
like 2.5
It's like
hairs.
splitting hairs.
It's like splitting hairs.
Can't split hairs.
But
Wow.
I don't get it. I happened to pull some strings,
No shit.
and I was able to get a very special bonus beer for us. This
Can I
is
dump my beer?
no.
this is the East End Brewing and
I love
Pizza
East
Boy
End.
collaboration Moonstomp.
Oh shit.
That was
I like that
brewed-
label.
That's no joke. That is no joke.
that was brewed with our malt, and
Yeah, there's
Life
a
is
healthy
good.
dose of Deer Creek Pilsner in this one.
Ooh, look at that pour.
See, we're supposed to go to Pittsburgh this weekend.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would it be a bad thing if it went all the way around and it was empty when it got to Josh?
That would
Yes.
be that would be unfortunate.
I might have to shiv a fool.
Hashtag just kidding. Hashtag
I'm gonna
not
do
just
a
kidding.
little half pour just to make sure everyone
No
gets some.
hashtags.
Funny story about this beer. East End had done, I think, one Berliner Weiss before, and they weren't so happy with it or whatever. And Pizza Boy decided to help them and come and help them brew a Berliner Weiss, and they decided to use our malt. And I can't imagine that it's anything but spectacular.
It's amazing.
It's pure pineapple juice.
It's,
sorry,
it's
Josh, there's no more.
amazing.
That's right. Maybe next time you'll taste it.
You have a whole case of this back there, right? This is amazing.
Amazing.
And this is Pizza Boy and
Pizza Boy
East
and
End.
East
And East End, yep.
Brewed at East End.
I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just awesome. It's great.
I want more. That's
Well,
what I
there's-
have to
there's
say
that.
about it.
The lactic profile is really clean. and
Well, that's the
nice.
thing. I mean, there's a wonderful blend of Brettanomyces and Lactobacillus on this. It's just really pleasant, nice and dry, and really fruity.
It's refreshing. It's light. It's it's bracingly
Of course.
tart,
Yeah, it does.
but it's balanced. And
Extra crispy.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers to you, sir.
Prost.
Yeah, bro, this is awesome.
From the Colonel.
This is, I mean, come on, guys. You want your product in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say my malt is in a beer like this, holy shit.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
For sure. Wow.
Once the malt leaves our house, I mean, the malt house, like the best we can do is like put it in the hands of people who know what they're doing with malt, and this is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like they killed it. It's a great beer.
This is really, really, really good.
It's probably one of the best Berliner Weisses I've ever had. Ever.
It's solid. It's not over complex. It's not like fruited. It's not muddled with anything. It is pure, Pilsner malt and yeast.
And I want more.
It's all gone.
Sorry.
You know it's an amazing beer when it's all gone and you're just like, I want more.
Yeah.
I want more. Cheers.
so good.
For sure.
Don't worry, we have other beers.
We've got
ready for another bonus beer.
we've got 7 more. Taste.
They're trying to break a record.
Damn. They're coming close. How many did we have with Dusty?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Like 25.
So, Josh,
Yes.
what's next?
So next we have another beer from Ron Guys. It is a Strange Overtone, which is a black IPA. And the malt bill is
It's 100% Dutch.
Not double Dutch, not like triple Dutch, but just
Straight up raw Dutch.
The Dutch.
1.0 Dutch.
Dutch 1.0. The
Dutch
original.
hair. Hairy Dutch.
Harry Dutch. Harry Dutch.
The hairy Dutch.
It's just a hair Dutch or it's hairy Dutch.
It's all the Dutch.
I'm
And
like
tomorrow
trying to
morning-
figure out ways we can work with the hair thing, and like I'm struggling with how
We need to,
with how that's marketable.
a hangover beer called Hair of the Dutch.
I was
Hair
thinking
of
that
the
earlier.
Dutch. I could work with that. Definitely could work with that.
No, I was thinking that earlier. I like it. I like it a lot.
So
The
it's
Dutch
a
hair.
smash
I
beer.
like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
This is actually a smash beer with lemon drop.
I like
hops.
The look on Steph's face
also
when you said
Berliner,
that
though, right?
is
Just saying. Huh?
This is a Berliner as well, right?
No, it's a smash beer with
an IPA.
100% Dutch, and all the hops are lemon drop.
all the
I
hops.
thought you stop and say it's 100% Dutch and all the hops.
All the hops.
All the hops ever.
All
Literally
the hops.
Every single one of them.
Every last one of them from that field. Field of hops. If you build it, they will hop.
It smells like lemon drop.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the aroma you expect from a beer that looks
That
like
looks
this.
like that, yeah.
You expect
Right.
like
It's very light,
syrupy and
citrusy
caramel.
aroma.
You have the Bantlers in your wallpaper.
Why would he not?
Yeah.
He works here.
Thanks, man.
Nice.
All started with
Nice.
a dream.
Oh, that smells great.
Huh. Wow.
Although it is maltier
Ooh.
in the flavor than the aroma would lead you to believe.
Yeah, it is.
It's a little fruity pebbles-ish,
Yeah.
Oh
my.
A bit, but in a good way.
but in a good way, not
Not in a...
Not in a,
not in a way.
not in a July pumpkin way.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely some candy, some bubble gum. It's yeah,
it's nice.
it's really nice.
I get like a really nice smokiness out of it too.
There's a little smoke in there.
Yeah.
What's the ABV on
I
that?
was waiting.
6.6.
Oh, really? Actually, because it tastes a little higher. Like it has, like that slight, like I don't want to say heat, but almost like I would peg it like
6.7.
Shut the front door.
6.75.
Well, if you round 6.6, you get 2.
You're not wrong.
I would have put it at 6.8. 6.8. 6.7 surprises me.
We'll have to call Scott and ask him to check his hydrometer. I don't know if it's. I assume this is our last beer. I don't know. It's the last one on my list, but you never know with these guys.
You never know.
It's really amazing to taste an array of beers with your product in and just see the possibilities.
Yeah, every single one had a different flavor profile.
Yeah.
Profile.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's nice to see like nailed it. Drop the mic. It's nice to see the beers that were malt forward were delicious and showcased your great malt, but even the beers that were more like hop forward and where the malt was just kind of the supporting actor, even then, like they did their job.
Well, the
You know?
malt was like
Yeah.
the foundation to it to hold
Well,
it up. Like
it is in most beers.
Well, right, but I
But-
mean, like, fuck you with your metaphor.
But no, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to see. A lot of these beers I haven't had a chance to taste yet, so this has been really cool. And fun to see the potential too, because like we talked about, I mean, the range of color and flavor about 20 SRM. I mean, a variety of different grains, but where we can go with that, I mean, we're not making crystals, we're not making caramels, we're not making some of the higher roasted malts. I mean, there's a much broader palette that we haven't explored yet, so it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to see. You know, what's out there now, but what's coming hopefully.
And how,
so.
how flexible you can be with what you've already done.
Yeah.
And there's
Right.
so much that you still could do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And thank you to PA Brewers for using PA malt.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Gotta keep
easy.
it local.
It's easy to just order what you're always using, but to take the chance and try a new product and show that.
That's what I love about not just the craft beer community, but the Eastern Pennsylvania craft beer community. Everybody wants to keep it local for the most part, and now you truly can. You can source all of your ingredients from this area and make it a local beer and support the local businesses that are out there, and it works out so perfect. Every one of these beers, kudos to you guys that stuck it out there and went with Deer Creek. Great job, fantastic, and I look forward to what's coming down the road. It's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Been tremendous, the support we've gotten from the community. Malt's a special ingredient. You can't make a beer without malt, so it's
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for it and let's plug some stuff. Deer Creek.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So October 9th,
Yes, October 9th.
Brewers of Pennsylvania meeting, Arts Quest, Oktoberfest in Bethlehem. Check it out. Learn more about malting. In April, CBC coming to Philadelphia. Look for that collaboration, the barley wine.
Here's the thing.
Second Story is doing with 8 craft maltsters,
So the
or more.
At least.
At least.
At least.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
perhaps more.
So
and growing.
the event in October. Here's the thing. Just do it. And I know that sounds real stupid at first, but no, just do
I
it.
believe that's trademark.
No, it's not. No, go to it, or at least if you can't make it, just look into the malting process, because malt is what's responsible for your beer overall. I mean,
Well,
it's
one of the things that's responsible.
Well, it is. However,
Really, yeast is. I'm sorry.
yeast is. But
you
everybody
can't make a beer with yeast,
Brewers
water,
make
hops
words.
What about water?
Yeast makes beer.
But everybody wants to talk about hops all the time.
right.
So when hops are great,
There's more out there.
I like
Hops can
Everybody
get a
likes
lot
hops
of
are
great
wonderful.
flavors
But
out
they're
there.
hip and flashy, but hops don't turn into alcohol.
No, but they do preserve your beer.
They do preserve your beer, but the grain turns into alcohol.
Can you make beer without hops?
Yes.
Right.
Well,
No, the
some
grain-
people would say it's not beer.
I think
Grain
you can,
produces
actually.
sugars.
I think you can too.
Yeast
Yeah.
eats
Can you make
sugars.
can you
and
make a beer
produce
without
alcohol.
yeast?
You cannot make a beer without yeast.
Are you sure?
Is there some other
Is this a trick
microorganism that turns sugar into alcohol? I don't know.
Bacteria.
Bacteria.
Well,
Right.
yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Can you make a beer without
Water?
Water?
Not so much.
really. Not so
Water.
much.
Not really.
Water.
Liquid. You can use liquid.
Without pop?
Water.
Water.
Water. You can use water.
Water. Get that water. But no, if you can make it to that, definitely go out to that event, because that's going to be awesome. You
I
get
think
to-
the point was malt is
Malt
the
is-
most quintessential ingredient.
malt is definitely far more important than a lot of people give it credit for.
And it's also, you can make more than just beer. Whiskey, bourbon,
Yeah. That's
right.
spirits.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I like whiskey.
Food. A lot of food.
I like
Lot of
food.
malt.
I like
Yeah.
food. Food's good. Food's definitely good.
Beer is good.
Beer is stuff. Beer is good and stuff. It are go good with pizza. Yes. But DeerCreekMalt.com. You can learn all about all sorts of stuff that's going on with Deer Creek. And what the Twitter feed that we've been sort of promoting that may or may not make it into the outtakes or into the actual show, is it just at Deer Creek Malt?
Yeah, at Deer Creek Malt. We're also on Instagram at Deer Creek Malt as well.
Okay.
So
Follow them. Facebook?
Facebook as well.
Deer Creek Malt.
Deer Creek Malt.
Facebook.com/
Keeping it simple.
I think
Malt.
Facebook is Deer
Deer
Creek Malt
Creek Malt.
House.
It's just Deer Creek Malt.
Well then. It's okay, Steph. Don't worry.
They're on the internet.
They're on the internet, deercreekmalt.com, and I'm sure you can probably find all the information you need to from there. There's a revelation that just happened across the table there.
It's in the tubes.
It's on the tubes. And of course,
Tubes.
beerbusterspodcast.com.
It's not a truck. You don't put things on
YouTube/user/
it.
Beerbusters podcast.
What? What the?
Guys, it's a series of tubes.
See, he gets it.
Multiple tubes that feed together. And
Wow.
Holy shit. All right.
I can break down the light wave spectrum. if you'd like.
so, you ready for another bonus beer?
Ooh. What?
More bonus beer.
We got a bonus
Seriously?
beer, don't we?
Do we?
Crispy Josh.
I was, okay.
I feel like we have another bonus beer. Maybe I lost track. I'm pretty sure.
I feel like we're wasting a lot of time right now.
I'm pretty sure we don't.
We're talking in loud whispers.
We might not have another bonus beer.
It doesn't matter. We could drink more bonus beer, but I think the podcast.
We can
is over.
outro and then go find more beer.
And then we can drink more beer.
Well,
We have more beer.
Thanks for coming, guys. This has been awesome.
Thanks for having
you
us.
for
Thanks
having
having
us.
Thank you.
Loads of fun.
This has been awesome.
Considering I have a week to edit this mercifully, thank you, Jeebus. Brings us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters. And gentlemen, thank you so much for having us out here and showing us what malt can do and getting us drunk. Thank you.
Thank you.
One very good beer.
On very, very good beer
Yeah,
with a
thank you.
very strong profile, a very strong foundation for it.
Moonstop is awesome, by the way. You
Yes.
need to go get some Moonstop.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Well,
Wow.
I'm Dan Baker, joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and our fermentertainer.
Wayne Baker.
I thought you were going to try to say something else. Anywho, no squids were harmed in the making of this episode. And until next time,
Actually,
apparently some squids were harmed in
no,
the making
no
of this
squids were
episode.
harmed in the making of the Dutch malt. But
Just the Dutch. Everything else?
I'm not saying squids were harmed in the other malt.
Just
but
definitely not
I'm
in
not
the
saying
Dutch.
that they weren't in
Okay.
the other ones.
Good to know.
It's barley and antlers. So we call it
And squid.
Bantlers.
antlers.
Squid bantlers.
Antlers.
Perhaps.
What if there's like a squid in the ocean with the bantlers?
Squantlers.
Squantlers. I'm hitting stop.